Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and we are live. So happy to be here on a Thursday, chilling with all you guys, talking movies, having fun. Love all you guys so much tonight. We're just going to chill. Guests will be coming in and out. But I'm just happy to be with you. Hang out, talk some stories, see what you guys are all up to. All right, so tonight's I got a lot of topics I've been setting up. You guys can always send over your topics as well. But let's talk. I'm going to be reading your comments along the way. Appreciate all the support. The biggest thing is Loki this week. And I want to talk more about Loki because I got some flack from some people saying, Andy changed his opinion. Andy changed his opinion. It's not what happened. It's not what happened. But I want to talk about that. Also, Christopher Nolan labeled his worst superhero movie. We have a new star adding to Indiana Jones 5. And I want to go through these new Space Jam: A New Legacy reviews. Oof. As well as some ratings for Loki have come in. It's not number one. A DC show beat it for the month of June. There's a caveat to that, but we'll get to there. And lead story, Tarantino under fire? Is he? Let's talk about all this amazing stuff. The phone lines will be open for some other guests popping in throughout. Maybe I'll invite some of you if somebody makes a case. We'll have some awesome conversations. All right, so let's get to this first story that I have for you guys tonight. I want to get your thoughts as well. But Quentin Tarantino. So Tarantino is well, this is sort of an editorial piece on Variety. But some folks are frustrated with him. There we go. Sorry, bearing with me. So Tarantino was doing. He's making the rounds, promoting his new Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book, and I've never seen him do so much press. Like he's really showing up on a lot of blogs and a lot of stuff, podcasts, etc. He's out there doing the full court press, which is rare for him. It's not something I'm used to seeing Tarantino do so much interviews, but I like when he interviews because I think he's got some interesting stuff to say. He's been around, you know, and so he's been making the rounds, doing stuff, and so he did this. Here we go. Last week so let me set this up as they do. He announced last week that he bought and would restore the historic single screen Vista Theater in Los Feliz. The mouthy Hollywood director. Wow, they call him the mouthy Hollywood director. Jesus. Inexplicably threw major shade on some of the big theater chains that were forced to close during the pandemic. That would be the ArcLight, Pacific Theaters are the main ones that really closed in LA. I never like any theater closing, but some of these exhibitors, they effing deserve to go. They've taken all the specialness out of the movies anyway. Some of these chains, Tarantino said in a recent episode of Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert. Dax Shepard's podcast has somehow been taken off. He's been getting a lot of good guests. He's insisting that the movie theater should not recreate my living room. Interesting takeaway from Tarantino. And it's obviously, this author says, how dare he goes on such a rant? Such people is finally feeling safe enough to return to movie theaters. Exhibitors across America are struggling after a year-long shutdown. Don't get me wrong. It's important. A classic boutique like the Vista or the New Beverly that Tarantino had in 2007. They are cultural treasures. But why does he have to come at the expense of expressing such ill towards larger circuits? His diatribe is just downright nasty. Tarantino has long been a critic of corporate encroachment in the film industry, particularly in the way that multi-million-dollar theater corporations and franchise blockbusters cannibalize the market share from independent venues and filmmakers. Kalushi Patel wrote in a piece for Text Codex, the decision to program classic films in his theaters may be seen as his personal act of resistance against big-budget Hollywood. Look, what do you guys think of this? I want to react to this because... Look, I like to have everything. He's right. We should be protecting a lot of these art house theaters. He's not wrong in that. However, come on, dude. What are you talking about? We're allowed to have some fun popcorn flicks. Our Fast Nines, our Quiet Places, our Godzilla versus Kongs. Yeah, and I like to have sort of I like to have we have some reclining chairs that sit back, you get comfortable, you really get immersed in it, and there's still a crowd there reacting, but you get to sort of really enjoy it more. I want to see some numbers in the chat. Do you think Tarantino is right? Do you think the big corporate theaters are ruining movies. Throw a 1 in the chat if you agree with them, a 0 if you don't, if you think there's room for both. And now, if he's talking about sort of, I do have a bone to pick with some of these theater chains that literally have like waiters coming in delivering food throughout the theater. Now that is a valid criticism. I don't like theaters that are trying to make you're interrupted by all these people walking in and out giving you chicken wings. That annoys the hell out of me. Plus, they're like asking for the order. So, what was that, sir? What do you want? And I'm like, dude, shut up. I'm ordering a milkshake. I'm watching a damn movie. If you want to set this up so you get your food and you get it delivered before the movie starts, fine. I don't mind, as long as you're not loud with that. This is that to me is if he was calling that kind of shit out, then I'd be with him. But to say like you can't have multiplexes with like good sound like at home and a good recliner chair, I think he sounds a little out of touch in this one. Usually I'm pretty on board and agree with him. All right, your votes are coming in. Yeah, zeros mostly. 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. So, I hate Rigo. I hate those theaters with food and drinks during the movie. I don't understand them. Like, I get it. Sometimes you go to the movie, right, and you're hungry. You didn't get a meal. Okay, I understand it. But I never would see an important movie there. I'm only going to go to a theater that serves food if it's like some like second-rate kids movie and my kid doesn't, and I know it's going to be loud anyway, and it's sort of just there for the experience more than the real experience. You know what I'm saying? But I would never go see A Quiet Place 2 at a restaurant theater. Can you imagine that, all the silent moments, and then you're hearing, I mean, you hear it with popcorn too. Some of that food they make sell now can be annoying, but the theaters need to sell that food. I get it, to make more money. But just sell booze. Right? To me, that's just get liquor licenses, let people get booze, and you can charge more, and there you go. That seems like that would make everybody happy. But Tarantino, I don't get it. Tarantino had a beef with Disney over his movie being dropped under pressure to show Star Wars by Disney. Yes, that happened at the ArcLight. So he does have a history. Thank you for reminding me of that, Sander. You're totally spot on, because the ArcLight was supposed to show it, and then which movie was it? Was it Hateful Eight? Whatever was the route for Force Awakens. And no. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was Hateful Eight, right? Which, I'll be honest, was so boring. Probably one of my least favorite films by him. Of course, I would have picked the new Star Wars movie. Granted, we didn't know enough then, but do you want to watch the start of the new trilogy or Hateful Eight? I mean, I love Tarantino, and I would have watched it eventually, but I would have always picked out of curiosity alone. I mean, come on, you can hate Star Wars and Disney all you want. Before we knew anything, of course I'm going to go see what JJ did just out of curiosity. Was it No, it wasn't Once Upon a Time. I think it was Hateful Eight. That was the last one he did before Once Upon a Time, right? But yeah, he got in trouble with them, and he got really pissed. I remember he was on Howard Stern, or he started doing some press then too, to complain about the fact that Disney was he had a deal with the theater, and Disney basically forced them to renege on the deal and wouldn't let him show his film in because it was shot in whatever that super millimeter Panasonic style, which the Cinerama Dome was sort of built for, and he couldn't even show it in the theater because Disney had blocked it out and had to make sure that their movie was stuck there for those opening weekends. It was a crazy thing. I'm on Disney Tarantino. I'm sure I'm gonna. Yeah, it was Hateful Eight. In fact, he says, "I will never work with Disney after cinema dispute." Oh, wait, hold on. There it is. Disney bosses forced famed LA theater to delay Hateful Eight. He struck out at Disney. Director noted, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he shot it in 70 millimeter. And so he had to release, rather than screening Tarantino's Western, which was released a week later, it forced staff at the famous ArcLight Cinerama Dome to continue showing Star Wars Force Awakens rather than the opening week of his film. In a report by Deadlines, Tarantino hit out on Disney on the Howard Stern show. Yeah, I remember that. This was 2015, saying that the company are engaging in extortionist practices against us. They're coming out to destroy us, to grind us to the gravel. You can watch the interview in the video below.
And I'm not talking about the whole country. I'm talking about one theater in particular.
You sound nervous about this.
Well, that's a big fucking deal.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so we were going to play at the Cinerama Dome on the 25th. We were going to open there and play there exclusively for 2 weeks. And Star Wars was going to play the 2 weeks before us. And I grew up in Los Angeles, so I think of the Cinerama Dome as a real big deal, and imagine seeing it at the Cinerama Dome.
Means something.
I'm pausing so I offer commentary so this clip doesn't just completely ding me. But he's right. Cinerama Dome, which now is closed but will likely be purchased by somebody else, it was a good theater. And he clearly sort of imagined that theater as the one to do. And it was scheduled to do so. They were ready. Star Wars was going to have the first 2 weeks, and then Hateful Eight was going to come out and have its premiere there for 2 weeks. That was always the plan, to have this Cinerama Dome open and available for it. But here, we'll continue.
Up into you.
Exactly.
Right.
Disney, who owns Star Wars,
Yes.
decided, well, you know what? Maybe we want to play throughout the entire holiday season. And not, so we're going to go to the Cinerama Dome and say that they can't honor their contract with us to show the Hateful Eight. And the ArcLight people that own the Cinerama Dome said, no, you can't do that. We have a deal with the Hateful Eight people, and showing it in 70, that's what we do. We have the 70mm projectors. They didn't have to move them in.
One of the only ones that
we even
has it,
start
too.
off with the Cinerama logo at the beginning. As of yesterday, Disney came to the ArcLight people and said, no.
Wow.
You are going to play Star Wars in the Cinerama Dome for the entire holiday season. And if you don't, if you honor your deal with the Hateful Eight, we will not allow you to have Star Wars, the biggest movie in the world. We will not allow you to show it at any of your ArcLight movie theaters.
Oh. So in your mind, that's petty because they've got...
It's so petty. Anyway, he continues, but it's almost hard to believe. In fact, I got to ask our first guest of the evening, Louis Lecca, is here. Louis, can you believe that happened? Do you think that really did happen? Do you think Disney really told them you can't show it in the Cinerama Dome for 2 weeks, and we will never give you Star Wars?
I'm coming into this in the middle of the Popcorn Planet because I was dealing with a few things, but this story is old, right?
Yeah.
Has this been
no, Tarantino is getting in trouble just for an article he did here, where he's taking pleasure in the fact that these theaters, some of which have closed, and he bought the Vista, which is in Los Feliz, and so he's now he's like, I never like any theater closing. With some of these exhibitors that are going, they effing deserve to go. They've taken all the specialness out of movies. Some of these chains insisting movie theaters should not be recreating my living room. But as someone reminded me in the comments, Tarantino has bad blood with some of these theaters, ArcLight, et cetera, for sort of letting Disney seemingly force their agenda to it. So and in playing the clip, he alleged on Stern that Disney totally basically said you can't have Star Wars if you don't keep our film in through the holiday season, even though they had an agreement with him to show Hateful Eight, which was literally had the Cinerama logo before and everything, 70mm. They have the projector for it. They basically wouldn't let Tarantino have the month of December to open his film.
So before I give you my take, is that interview with Stern, is that new?
No, that's older. That's an older one from 2015.
So basically, that's been around for a while. There's been a rumor that I don't know the contracts where not Lucasfilm, who also used to distribute with Fox, they do that. They make you show Star Wars for a long time so they could get the most money back on their on their investment. They also take a big portion, more than the average film from the theater. So basically they get a sweet deal, right now. Moving forward, Mr. Tarantino here now has a little bit of a conflict of interest because he owns a theater. So maybe just, the more theaters that close, the more the Vista makes money. I like the Vista a lot. It's a great theater. It's one of those old, theater palaces, one of the last ones standing. And it's like a mini Chinese theater where they actually have footprints there. And Tarantino has been, apparently he lives around here. He lives in Los Feliz somewhere, supposedly. And he had the pussy wagon from Kill Bill parked in front of the Vista when Kill Bill was out. So he's always loved the Vista here. I don't take any pleasure of anyone losing their livelihood and stuff, but I don't know, maybe he knows more of the industry than I do, It probably does.
But do you really think, so you believe Disney was being petty and sort of saying, no, you can't have our movie if you don't keep it here through the holiday season. We don't care what deal you had.
Not in those words. I don't think Disney talks like that. I think they
don't either.
Yeah, not like that. That's like kind of like, in other words, we're strong arming you. I don't think those words were used, but it's like, hey, you will play X movie this long, or we cannot play, we cannot show it anywhere. None of the ArcLights or whatever theaters. So yeah, in that case, maybe there's more professional lingo used, not like Tarantino used, kind of a little bit slangish. But yeah, I do believe this probably did happen. It's a business. They pull for their business, their company, and they want to make their money back from Star Wars or whatever it is, So,
right. Yeah, I mean, again, this was older news, but it was connected to the main story of why he would be upset about it. So, what's up? Is that you, Tom? I put you the link. If you want to join, Tom, you're welcome to come in. Good to see you, man. From Midnight's Edge. Yeah. Overall, though, I think Tarantino is a little off in complaining about he doesn't want. If he's still mad at ArcLight or Disney, fine. I understand there's bad blood there, but this idea that he's sort of throwing shade at theaters that have recliner seats, I think he's misguided on that one. Like, recliner seats do make a theater experience a little bit more fun, and it still can have the vibe of a theater, give you a little bit more space, especially in the world we live in. Having more space between chairs, I don't think is a bad thing. And I like some of those recliner chairs too. I think it's a fun part of it, especially the sound and everything. So him complaining about that, I think is weird. He lost me on there. Some people giving him flack for it, but it's minor. He's Tarantino. He'll do what he wants. But that's our main story. I got lots more we're talking about. I'm just clipping here for the YouTube sake to keep the algorithm helpful. Louis Lecca will be here joining us. So where are you going? If you missed this, you're watching on the replay, why don't you support and hit that join button? You can always join, become a member, working on more perks, lots of stuff you can get there. Thanks to everybody you had. Let's get a few more members tonight, shall we, guys? Lurkers out there, let's add some more popcorn logos next to your names. Appreciate all you guys watching. Stay tuned. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. Tom from Midnight's Edge is going to join us.